Call Halalim, La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Okach Chodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the brothers who pushing this gospel in truth and in sincerity. Shalom. So I have a article here that I wanted to go into because earlier this week, I caught a virus called the norovirus. And before I have caught the virus, I had family members who caught it as well in the same household. But I was highly pissed when I had caught the virus. I was actually highly pissed when my middle child caught the virus. She caught the virus from school. And then my oldest child caught it. And then my wife's sister caught it. Then my baby caught it. And then my wife caught it. Then I caught it. And I actually got mad that we send our kids to school, to these schools. And they don't want them to miss a day. But when they get sick, but when they get go to school, when they go to inside these schools, they getting sick by other kids. And then they don't want you to keep your child home when they get sick. So they want you to send them to school with a note. And then they get other kids sick. Other kids contract the sickness from them, which is stupid, in my opinion. Okay. Those like the scriptures say, those unrighteous decrees. Because if you don't take your kid to school, after a while, if they miss so many days, they'll come in and take you to court or lock you up for it. All right, this the world we living in. There's no liberty. But yeah, so the whole household caught this norovirus, and when I caught it, I was speaking to my wife about it because I was highly pissed and irritated and aggravated of the pain I was going through. And I was saying the reason, because I read in another article that one of the ways that it probably was it got here, because I know the virus been around probably from the 1600s, 1800s, and I think came back around 1980s, then about 2015, 2017, around that time. But he said one of the ways that one of the places it came from were cruise ships, and I believe another factor was food. But when I heard about the cruise ships, that instantly sparked a thought in my mind about the food that the people eat here in America, the United States of America, which is unclean food, abominable food, which is crabs, crawfish, lobsters, shrimp, and one of the foods in this list is oysters, raw oysters. Okay, and we don't supposed to be eating these unclean foods. And I'm gonna get a scripture on that as well, but I want to read a little of this article first and get into it. The FDA announces 3 recalls linked with norovirus outbreak lead exposure. And that's another thing in America. You got lead, which is like the end of the pencil, and then you got lead, spelled two different, they spelled the same way, but it's two different meanings. But that's a whole nother. FDA announces 3 recalls linked with norovirus outbreak, lead exposure by Megan Vicelli, posted at 8:37 p.m. February 23rd, 2023. The Food and Drug Administration, FDA, announced 3 recalls Thursday for raw oysters, insulated food and drink bottles, and roasted peppers with mushrooms. Raw oysters recall. The FDA says restaurants, retailers, and consumers should avoid raw oysters from British Columbia, Canada, because of norovirus outbreak. The recall affects oysters harvested between January 16, 2023 and February 17, 2023 from Deep Bay, Baines, Sound, Siberia, 14 through 8 landfills. Those are the numbers of the landfill. And Siberia, 13 to 16 landfowl, Shalakia. Landfowl, number 1401845 in British Columbia, Canada. Packaged oysters include the harvest area information on their packaging. The FDA says not to eat or sell these oysters and get rid of them right away. Food contaminated with norovirus can look, smell, and even taste normal. However, contaminated shellfish can cause illness if eaten raw, particularly in people with compromised immune systems. Illnesses have been reported in Canada only so far, with known cases of norovirus associated with these oysters reported in the U.S. Symptoms of norovirus include diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, stomach pain, fever, headache, and body aches. Yeah, and that pain, the stomach pain, is deadly pain. It's no joke. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It's like the pain when you get full, you overeat, and your stomach start hurting. It's like 10 times worse than that. I was thinking I was just full and I ate too much. And then it just started getting worse, and I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't sleep almost the whole night. I was up all the way to about 11 a.m. and I went to sleep around, tried to go to sleep around 2 o'clock a.m. So I was up all the way to about 11 a.m. until I got sleep. Because that pain is deadly pain. Like it's like someone that grab your intestines and just twist it and keep twisting it all night. It's pain that you do not want to go through. And after a while, you're going to get the feeling of vomiting. And that's even more pain because, when you vomit, it's like almost throwing up your insides. So I threw up that first time. Second time was even worse. It's just even more throw up of the food I ate that night. Okay. And then here comes the diarrhea. I know you probably don't want to listen to it. You could fast forward it or whatever. But people do have to know this. It was diarrhea, and you sitting on the toilet. You're gonna be on the toilet almost the whole for at least about an hour and a half, or probably an hour. It depends on your body. It's different strokes for different folks, and there's like what diarrhea is. It's like the runs. It's like water, and you're just sitting there and just keep coming. And then after that, the next day is that's the second day with the diarrhea. The third day is about when you have headache. Some people have fever. What I masked was a headache, and I had body aches as well during the stomach pain, throwing up, and the diarrhea. My body was aching. My lower back was aching the whole time. It still ache. All right, still ache as I'm talking. And that was about uh, 4 days ago since I hit it, and that was my leg too, because I believe my leg been hurting for months now. I believe because I hit it the wrong way. I probably have to go to the doctor to see what's going on with that. Yeah, it was the bottom of my back was aching very bad, but it's a little refreshing now. All right, but yeah, that the norovirus is highly contagious. We are still cleaning from it, wiping everything down, and washing everything the clothes we had during the week, and the kids' clothes, and whatever we touched. The sheets, I haven't washed the sheets yet because I wanted to make sure we get everything else first and let the virus run its course. Salakia. Because I caught it during from my baby, my 7-month-old. I caught it from her when I changed her pamper because I woke up. I probably caught it. It probably was in my system when we woke up together. We all woke up together, and she had vomit on her little sheet we lay down for her. And I seen that, and then I smelled them. It was, girl, smelled bad. And I changed it, and that's probably how I contracted it. But yeah, we still washing now. Let me finish reading this. Bendu Bottle Insulated Food and Drink Bottles Recall, LLC of Carlsbad, Bendu Bottle LLC of Carlsbad, California is recalling its Bendu bottles because they could contain an area of exposed lead found at the bottom storage compartment of the bottle. Unpackaged food stored in the bottom storage compartment of the bottle could have been adulterated by the lead, posing health risks to people or animals. The product comes in 4 sizes. Then you have the ounces. Another recall is Raul's Homemade brand roasted red peppers with portobello mushrooms recall. But my main point is the unclean food. All right, oysters and crawfishes and crabs and those, and et cetera, et cetera. And let me get a scripture on this because we don't supposed to be eating those type of foods in the sea. What's that? Leviticus 11, chapter 9, verse. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. So all those foods without fins and scales in the rivers and the seas are abominations. Same as lakes as well. All are abominations. They are all unclean food we do not supposed to eat including oysters, raw oysters, cooked or uncooked, crawfish, crabs, lobsters, shrimps, all are unclean. Everything that we can eat in the sea are fishes with fins and scales. And I have another scripture here because this is how you know Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai is coming back soon, because there's a lot of pestilence going on as well. And not just the norovirus, it's the train derailments that happen. That train derailment, or I could say the train derailments, because there was 3 train derailments in the same month. One in everyone knows Palestine, Ohio.
And uncertainty in East Palestine, Ohio, after the toxic train derailment. Is the water safe to drink? Is the air okay to breathe? Moments ago, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine announced that the water in East Palestine is safe to drink after new tests detected no contaminants. But property owners with private wells are encouraged to keep drinking bottled water until their wells are tested. We've also just learned that the soil at the derailment site has not been removed by the rail company yet. Experts say removal is key to cleanup because the soil acts almost like a sponge, soaking up the toxic chemicals and then releasing them into the soil and the air and the water over time, adding to the mounting concerns of the dead fish that CNN saw in a waterway near the derailment site. CNN's Jason Carroll has been talking to East Palestine residents who no longer know whom to trust.
We're strongly recommending those who have not yet had their water source checked to use bottled water. Bottled water is being made available.
More than a week after a toxic train derailment that led to the evacuation of much of this small Ohio town, state health officials are urging some East Palestine residents to drink bottled water until water tests are complete.
This is going to be particularly important if you are pregnant, if you are breastfeeding, or if you are preparing formula for an infant.
Officials say the toxic spill was largely contained the day after the derailment and that tests have shown the air quality is safe. But they have found low levels of contaminants in 4 nearby waterways spanning 7.5 miles, including Leslie Run, a creek which runs through East Palestine, and neighboring Negley, right through the back of Kathy Reese's property.
In the back of your property back here, they found dead
Yeah, they
fish?
saw dead fish.
Reese says she has been drinking bottled water instead of well water ever since she started spotting dead fish in the creek following the derailment. She says she's still waiting for the state to come and test her well water.
Air-wise, I feel okay. Water-wise, no. No. There's just too many chemicals and stuff that were spilled that they still don't want to identify completely.
An Ohio Department of Natural Resources official estimates some 3,500 fish in the state have died following the train derailment. These people saw the flames from their homes and worry their neighborhood still may not be safe.
What about testing water or ground?
Nothing yet. No. And like I said, I don't recommend you put anything in the ground. I mean, vegetables or tomatoes or anything this year because we don't know.
I don't think they're going to do enough.
And some residents say they have been frustrated by what they describe as a lack of communication with officials on the ground.
We pass all of the creeks and there's crew after crew with white hoses and black hoses all through the creeks. They're not telling us why, and this is daily. I'm driving my children to school past all of this, and they're asking me questions that I don't have answers to.
Some of their questions unanswered. We found getting information just as challenging.
Can you tell me, are they pumping water out or are you pumping water back in?
Talking to the guys up the top of the hill, sir. We're just grunts.
We're just trying to get a sense of what those pumps are. Can someone just...
Norfolk Southern can tell you everything. That's the hotline. They can tell you everything.
You realize people are calling this number and no one is getting back to them.
We're just told to direct people to that number.
Honore, South Carolina. Then you have one in Splendora, Texas. It's not a coincidence. See, this damn devil, which is the so-called white man, is doing these things. Ultimately, it's the Most High, Yahweh, because he controls everything. Nothing happens or get past him without him having a hand in it. Okay? That's why we should fear the Most High with our mind, body, and soul, because he's nothing to play with. But before all that, the train derailments and the viruses and diseases that's going on now, you had, the C-19. But this is why it's happening. Let me get Luke. I always pop up as light, Salakia. Luke 21. And then we can start at start at the 7th verse. Luke 21, first chapter, 7th verse. And it reads, and they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be, and what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, and we all know what's going on now with the wars, and you have Ukraine and Russia, and you have Iran? And I believe Iran and Israel. There's those fake Israelis. I ain't gonna say too much on that. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, people, rioting, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then said he unto the nation shall rise against nation. But then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. All right. Like exactly what's going on in America. You have basically people, you got one class of people, which is, Esau, Edom, the lower white class, because ain't no such thing as middle. Everybody poor at this point. And then you have the rich people, which the elite. And the elite is those Rothschilds and Rockefellers and DuPonts and et cetera, those people. Those are the ones that's controlling the narrative. Because the regular so-called white people, they don't know what the fuck going on. Okay? And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places. You had the earthquake in Turkey, and famines, the food shortage, and pestilences, which is the point, and fearful sights and great signs shall be from heaven. Right, the fearful sights is the so-called UFOs, which we know those are the chariots of the Lord, which are angels. And then you have great signs shall be from heaven. And one of the great signs is our people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, starting to wake up and know this devil for who he really is and the truth about their heritage and history. But the point is the pestilences. And let's look up that word pestilences. Pestilence. Loimos. The Greek word is loimos. Of uncertain affinity, a plague. And a plague is what was a plague? A plague is it's like a disease with well, we gonna look it up. Literally the disease, right? They say literally the disease, or figuratively a pest, a pestilence, pestilent, fellow pest plague. Let's go to this. Sorry, hold on 1 second. A fatal epidemic disease, especially bubonic plague. Let's do this. A contagious bacterial disease characterized by fever and delirium, typically with the formation of buboes, bubonic plague. All right. So it's a contagious bacterial disease. And everything that's been happening have been a contagious disease, starting with the C19, jumping from one person to another. Okay, so that's pretty much my point on that, man. So hopefully, this was edifying. Lord willing. Till next time, shalom.